But when I was a kid, I had no limits to this, right? And I think probably they would diagnose me today. I'd probably be some hyper energetic, maybe even a little bit ADHD. But when I was young, those papers didn't exist. They just said,
Right.
"Oh, he's a playful boy," something like that. And I think from that moment, I never felt like truly understood by my parents. I never really felt truly understood by my teachers.
Hi, this is Jan, and welcome back to the Black Sheep Society, where we don't fit in, so we build what fits to us. And today, I'm super honored to be welcoming my very first guest, which is Gasper to my left. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me on.
A little bit of an intro to Gasper. Gasper is actually a very dear friend of mine, and I have to say, you're actually one of my closest friends that I've met.
Likewise,
And
brother.
you are right now, I would say, in my deepest circle. I consider you a brother. And a bit of a recap on how we met was that about 2 years ago, I was living in Bali already at that time, and I met you uh, strangely in my pool, and that's how we got together. And a mutual friend of ours, he introduced you, and we were literally connecting from that moment. Right, we were having chats in the pool, I think, for what started off with a small side chat, and it ended up into an hours long chat. So yeah, who are you? And a quick recap from my side first, and then I'm happy to have you elaborate, okay? But I'll just try to summarize your background. You're an ex BCG consultant, one of the highest performers back in Europe at that times. You were leading some of the top projects in all over Europe and also the world. You went on a sabbatical into Bali, and that's how actually we met. You were doing the sabbatical, and actually, you never returned back to your company. Instead, you decided that you're going to build your own company instead. And an AI consulting business. You're actually having currently 6,000 live subscribers, or even maybe more.
It's less.
So you can help me out with the details. But you broke away from what we can say, the top level corporate world, where you were highly valued and highly respected in modern day society, and you broke away from all of that to start your own thing. So I invite you today for this podcast to be sharing with you and sharing with us this reason of your shift. And a quick side note before I let you introduce yourself. Um, Also, you have a beautiful girlfriend and maybe future wife that is
Hopefully.
currently pregnant, and you are expecting a baby. So I'm really curious also, beside you sharing about yourself and that on how that also is affecting your journey
Mm.
and what this changed in your life. So, without further ado, now I'm handing over to Gasper. Please let me know in like an elevator pitch, pretty much, on where you started off with this BCG journey and how now how we met in Bali, and then how this actually transferred into you starting your own AI company.
So first, thank you very much for inviting me on. It's really a pleasure to be here. Um, just a quick elevator pitch then from my side. I worked in BCG. I was a cost cutting consultant, a
Yeah.
process improvement consultant, and I was working in energy. So for the 5 years that I spent there, I spent a lot of time working and traveling around the world. I think in my last year, I checked my stats. I spent 188 days in the hotel. So always on the road, always on the plane, sleeping in the cars, and so on and so forth, right? So at some point, my health took a toll.
Mm.
I still remember the time when I was at the doctor, and the doctor told me that I will probably not live until 35. And the reason was I had 105 kilograms, I think at that time, maybe 107, and my blood pressure was more than 170 at 29. So at that moment, I decided to quit. I didn't have any plan. It was still a little bit of a journey back and forth with my mind. Then I decided to quit. I worked 2 more months, and then I sit on the plane to Sri Lanka. which was the start of my Asian journey, which then eventually led me to Bali. So in that year, I was mainly trying to find myself. I was working on a lot of stuff, some a bit more crazy, some normal, some somewhere in between. I did a 7-day water fast. I met a lot of healers. I've been to yoga camps. I did a lot of breathwork meditation and so on. And I kind of felt like that I'm finding myself in that period. But as you already know, and for the audience, when I was in Bali and in Asia in particular, I was doing a lot on the personal development front, but I kind of couldn't get my business to start because there's simply too many distractions here, right? You
Mm,
have sun, you have coconuts, you have mango juice, you
right.
have sunsets, you have, I mean, it's awesome, right? So it's really hard to do that piece. And that's, I think I intentionally decided to go back to Europe in August to push my business forward. And as you mentioned before, I started work. There was a little bit of a path how I came into AI. We can talk a little bit more later. But in general, I started building this business. And because I sat down and focused, I kind of started developing that business, and it started growing. Of course, I'm still not where I want to be, but I am moving towards there. And I think one interesting thing is because this is a Black Sheep Society podcast, right? And it's also a little bit about this your defining moments, I guess, and how you're going from those and how you are growing as a person. I think a big lesson in that last year was that either you're growing or you're stagnating, right? Or you're deteriorating. You're never really stagnating. And the reason why I say that, because although I thought I have everything figured out on the personal front, I lost 25 kilograms, I was healthy and so on. Then when I started going back to business, a lot of these insecurities and everything came back and I got some kilograms back. I started eating unhealthy. So now, funny enough, 1 year later, we are again with Bali and again, we are doing this process. So it's always
Right.
this continuous improvement
Yeah.
that's really driving this.
And I really resonate with this saying that you just said. We are never really stagnating. Yeah, we are either improving or we are actually kind of deteriorating in some form or another. So I know we've had a couple of talks on this. So thank you very much. Thanks for the intro. Really, really impressive. And as you know, I highly value to see your growth and your journey and to actually see your continuous journey. But now, actually, I want to take it a quick step back to why we are sitting here. And today, as you know, it's the Black Sheep Society podcast. And the reason why I brought this into life was because I personally was really struggling in my past with trying to find belonging and almost feeling like I didn't belong to where I grew up. Actually, I was sharing in my previous podcast that I really was struggling actually with deep depression because I didn't feel like I didn't belong to my own society, and I only needed. Actually, once I moved out of the country, I felt that I was home, and yeah, so that's why I want to kind of now revert this back to you because in this podcast we want to share different types of black sheep. Okay, and so I would like to hear from you. What was your most profound black sheep moment, or maybe even two, three, where you felt like you didn't belong, and how did that impact your life at that time?
Mhm. That's a great question. I think it started when I was very young, right? I never really felt that I really fit in. I was always this hyper energetic kid. My parents did try to did and did in many ways a great job, but they just I think in some aspects they couldn't handle all this energy. And you know me personally, I'm full of energy. I'm always on, and I'm actually toning this down lately, right? From the last couple of years. But when I was a kid, it just I had no limits to this, right? And I think probably they would diagnose me today. I'd probably be some hyper energetic, maybe even a little bit ADHD. But when I was young, those papers didn't exist. They just said,
Right.
"Oh, he's a playful boy," something like that. And I think from that moment, I never felt like truly understood by my parents. I never really felt truly understood by my teachers. I don't think that I had this issue with a peer. I always was, let's say, it was very easy for me to connect with people, to communicate with people, and so on. Although now, looking back at that, it also seemed that I was a little bit playing, kind of pretending it a little bit, in a sense that I wanted to be the clown of the party, if you want to call this way, so people would love me, because probably I didn't feel this love coming from other places, right?
You know, it's funny you say that because I actually was also the class clown back in school. And maybe there is a correlation also how we were dealing with society at that time because we maybe didn't feel like, or we had so much energy, just like you said, which I also felt. And, but we needed to let it out in some way. So that needs it to be like almost a vent. Yeah. So really, really interesting you say that.
Yeah, I agree, and I
Yeah.
think I think that's also the reason why you and me, probably one of the reasons why you and me connected so deeply, because we discussed a lot of these topics and
Right.
we were kind of similar. So I think that was the first big moment. If I'm going back to the topic,
Yeah.
I think then there were various small moments, right? That kind of came, but I always felt like I want something more, I want something different. And I remember the next moment was when I went to law school. And this is again a little bit this parents' mentality, right? Be a doctor, be a lawyer, right? I didn't want to be neither a doctor nor a lawyer, but I also didn't really know what I want to be. So I went to law school. I didn't like it, obviously. I knew I'm not going to like it. I failed law school. I failed it the second time. So first year, then I went again. I failed it again. And then I changed the faculty after this very hard conversation with my mother, which she was, to my surprise, very open to, because she saw that I was struggling. And I went to the next university, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, F this, right? Like I need to nail this. So I'm like, what do smart students do? Okay, they sit in the first row, they ask questions. So I never sit in the first row, okay? But from that moment, I'm like, I'm never going to go through this experience this kind of shame of
Right.
failing something. And I went to the first row. I asked all the questions, and all of a sudden my grades go 9, 10. Like I really started improving. But I still like don't feel like I'm fit. I'm really fitting in. So I'm doing this university because obviously my parents and everybody around me tells me, "Hey, university is what you need." But I don't feel like this is really what I need. Nevertheless, at some point in university, and I'll come to the last defining moment, is when they have this presentation of BCG at my faculty, right? And this looks super interesting to me, right? And then I asked them, like, I still remember I'm sitting outside, actually smoking cigarettes with many of, at the time I was still smoking, I don't anymore,
Yeah.
but with many of those, my future colleagues, I didn't know it at the time. So I asked them, okay, how do I do this? It sounds great. Like, oh, you're traveling the world, you're advising clients, you're this kids in five-star hotels and so on, right? It sounds awesome on paper. So now I think I want this. And they tell me, you kind of would be great if you study finance, right? Or something economics, business. So I went to do my master's in business, and then I applied to BCG. And then I will stop the defining moments here, because I have a feeling that we will discuss more of them later. But there were many more afterwards as
Right.
well. But I feel from that first, let's say, 1 to 25, for the first quarter of life, I hope, is these were the couple of the ones that really stood out.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for sharing. And I also, I mean, I do believe that probably the first 20 years, or let's say 25 years, like you mentioned, is probably the most confusing times, or at least when I recapped for my side as well, was the most confusing times in terms of the not feeling like fitting in. But then you slowly, like you said, no, you mentioned all of a sudden, well, then you went to corporate and you started to fit in some way or another. Now, whether that was the right fit is going to be up to a next discussion and some next topics. But yeah, that's something also which really resonates with me because I have a similar, history with me going corporate right after school. And yeah, so next topic, and I want to talk to you a little bit um, about your North Star. So because one of my topics I discussed in the first episode was that I had a feeling that for a long period of my life I was actually not trying to live my personal North Star, but actually I was living the North Star of, let's say, my parents. I was living the North Star of what society defined that that is going to be the most thing you are pushing for. Top corporate, after business school, you're going to work for, big company. My parents, I wanted to make my parents happy. Okay. So I realized my North Star mainly, especially in my youth, was mainly defined by, I would say, by my parents. And so I tried to make them happy, and I was seeking for this love, um, back to, like, I always thought, like, okay, if I achieve this, if I do something, and this is the North Star that was defined by my mom or by my dad, um, I will make them happy, and if I make them happy, I will be happy. So, yeah, share me about your North Star. Did you always have, let's say, the same North Star, or did you have in the past, uh, changing North Stars, and who were they defined by? Was it, what was the influence?
Mhm. I think it was always the same, but the expression of it was different. And I think my North Star, if I would sum it up in one word, is really freedom.
Mm,
And I think it was coming in different expressions. What I mean by that is maybe at the beginning was freedom from control of my parents. Then it was freedom to try something that most people told me I'll never get in BCG. Then
right,
when I was in BCG was freedom to travel the world in a very, let's say, luxury and have enough financial income from the company to really afford myself a life. And then when I went to Bali and later it was freedom of removing that waste, finding my purpose, and then later on it transformed into the freedom of the business,
right,
right? And I think I relate to this what you said. I think for many people is we are not for many, for all people, we are influenced by people around us. And because parents are the primary caretakers of us when we were young, and because they didn't do this inner work, because in those times they couldn't just travel to Bali or to Thailand like us and
yep,
do inner work and do this self-reflection. It was, apologies, in many societies, I guess in German, in Slovenian as well, it would be even seen as something negative that you are doing this kind of work, right? Because even
yep,
psychotherapy, even when I was young, was seen as something negative, right? It still is, has a little bit of stigma.
yep,
So I think why I'm saying this, we can't really, like, I forgave my parents because first of all, they gave me the childhood that many of the kids didn't have. But then, of course, they had some mistakes. But I forgave them because I think it's up to me then to make this cut and not try not to put this on my kid, which you mentioned in the intro, right?
right,
And obviously I'm still failing, I'm not showing up all the time, but that's, I think that's something on us. And then the second thing which you mentioned also resonated is this society push, right? It's okay, you need to go to school, you need to go to university, you need to take this corporate job, you need to work every day, then you're 65. Obviously you don't now most people feel like they don't have a purpose, and then you die.
yep,
And then you die.
yep,
And I think some people call it the matrix. I don't really like to call it that, but in many aspects it is very similar to the movie of Matrix. It's just like every day on repeat. And I think there is a big pressure on society for you to fit in. And I felt this from even from people around me. Where I went to Asia, there was a pool of them pulling me back because in sometimes a lot of people also supported me. I'm not talking about all of them, but there were people that wanted to pull me back because I think deep down they knew that if I fail, then they will feel good about themselves.
right.
They will that was wrong to say. They will not feel bad about themselves. And if I succeed, I show them that there is another path, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's why society is pushing society. I mean, peers specifically, friends, acquaintances, they're pushing you so hard to return to these guardrails so they don't feel bad for you trying something more and pushing and living the life that they might love. And some of them, I must say, they might also not want to live my life. And I,
right.
I think that people who don't want to, who are very happy with their current life, those are the ones that were supporting me the most,
Yep, yep,
right? Those
makes
were the
sense.
ones that, like my best friends, those are
Yep,
already happy. Those were the ones supporting me
yep,
the most.
yep. That's super beautifully said. how would you, so I really like this kind of structure where you said like, okay, well, there was a moment where I felt like I needed to push out of the society norms. And would you define that there was a, like, or would you say that there was a defining moment when you decided to break away from, let's say, society norms, or would you say you've always pushed the limit?
I
You
always
know,
push the limit.
you always
Yeah.
push the limit.
I was
Yeah,
always pushing the limit.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
always the crazy kid. Don't jump,
yeah,
don't jump, I jump. Don't climb this tree, I climb this tree. Fell, cried, climb another next one.
yeah.
Don't play the piano in the store. Of course I played the piano. Like I was always pushing the norm a little bit. So
You're a true black sheep through and through,
yeah, I was always
from
pushing
the
the norm.
beginning to end.
But
Yeah,
I was also like, let's say, a funny kid, and people kind of liked me, even like
yeah,
older people. So I was always kind of got away with it, right?
yeah.
But I feel deep down it was always this deep wish for freedom and living life on my own terms and doing stuff that I want. Maybe because around me, my parents are pretty happy. They were both entrepreneurs, and I think like in a broader society, when I was looking people that I was meeting through life, they didn't really seem happy. I
Yeah,
mean, it didn't really seem happy in the things they're doing. And I always question this, like, okay, I understand one is the money component and you need to pay the bills, but then you have so many hours of the day. I get it. You need to work, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours to pay the bills. But what you're doing with remaining time?
yeah,
Then you're going to watch Netflix, you're going to, I don't know, and some people go to the gym, which is of course healthy, but too much of it can also be too much. Too much of it can also be a distraction, right? So it's kind of like I think when I was looking at these people, I didn't want to be one of them, but I also didn't know what I want. And now when I'm really self-reflecting back, it was always this sense of freedom, which then in the end resulted in my own business, because I feel that if you make your business work, that's the highest expression of freedom. But it comes with its costs and traps and so on, which we can talk a little bit about later as well.
sure, sure. All right, Gasper. So let's now talk about the Bali catalyst, in a sense of that was a breaking moment on how actually you decided to change, where there was a massive career shift, to be honest. Yeah, so you were going from this corporate world, and you thankfully shared this with us, and that you were even there, actually you were also like the black sheep. You've always been the black sheep, you mentioned. But let's now talk about this shift. So what made you decide, while you were in Bali, to actually quit your job? Because at that time, I believe you were on a sabbatical, so you're technically planning to possibly go back. So what was the final moment for you to leave? I also would like to know what type of emotional state you were in while you were in Bali, because me personally, I know, because we were sharing quite a lot of our vulnerabilities. But what were the kind of struggles that you were dealing with that in the end helped you decide, no, I'm not going back. I'm not doing a BCG again. And I know, obviously, the company itself is great, etc. But what was kind of the reason then you said like, no, I'm not going back, with all the perks, etc. But I want to start my own thing.
So I knew that I'm not going to go back the moment I quit.
Okay.
The moment I quit, I knew I'm not going to go back.
Yeah.
Then they told me that they said to me, many people did it and then they came back. So we would like to have you back. So we will offer you this sabbatical. I was
Right.
very clear to them. I even said to one of my bosses, I will only come back as a client. It was half joke. I think they understood it as joke, but it was half true as well. Um, but I also, at some point, when I went to this Asia trip, which you are referring to as Bali trip, but it's true that I spent 9 months out of the 13 in Bali.
Yeah.
Um, I think I was really searching for myself. And at the beginning, I was very chill. Like at the beginning, I was planning 12 months. Of course, you have 12 months. I was kite surfing in Sri Lanka. Then I came to Bali. We were partying a bit. We did a healthy life. So I was searching for myself. Then I started writing. You remember, I was writing blogs a little bit, which was doing okay, but nothing was really taking off.
Yeah.
So I think um, I went to Thailand in a little bit before, but I remember that after New Year in Koh Phangan, I decided to do a 7-day water fast. And when I did the 7-day water fast, I was 7 day without food. Because some people then re-ask me if it's water. No, I was drinking water. I didn't have food. And after that, I got this crazy mindset. And I was reading David Goggins' book at the same time, right? So I
I
got
remember that time period.
I got this crazy mindset. I was like, if I can be 7 day without food, and people were quitting left and right,
Yeah.
it's like I can do anything, right?
Yes.
And again, I allow these insecurities of I'll never be good enough. I need to push myself harder to take over. And you remember, I had this hell week, no Netflix, no chill, meditation every day, one gym, one run, 6 times per week, 18 hours no food, 6 hours food. Like I had this crazy for 2 months. You remember, like I
Right.
was dropping 1 kilogram per week. At some point, I didn't even want to drop kilograms anymore. I was taking all these shakes and stuff, but I was just pushing my body hard until my body failed again,
Mm.
right? So I think at that point, I started thinking a little bit, okay, how can I make this more sustainable? And I still don't have an answer. I'm still navigating into a min max personality, which I am. But I feel after that point, I started thinking more about, okay, I don't have that much time. It's a couple of months left. Now I need to really figure the stuff out.
Yeah.
And we tried a lot of stuff together as well.
Right.
Instagram, coaching. Coaching was great. I kind of couldn't get the clients, but the ones that I have, they were great. But nothing was really paying the bills, right? And at this point, I'm scared. Like, oh, what the f? And I'm scared. I can't. I don't know. I'm scared that I will need to go back. I'm scared I'm going to disappoint people. And the more I'm needed, the more I push myself, the less the things are coming. So at those moments, because I'm now navigating into the emotional piece, I was feeling really bad. I was
Mm.
feeling really bad. I wouldn't say that I was depressed, but I was questioning my worth. I was sad. I was angry a lot. Luckily, I worked with Renee, the way you know Renee as well. He's a man's coach for 4 months, which was very intensive. So we went really deep. We went to my childhood. I had talks with my parents, with my brother, and so on. I resolved a lot of this internal conflict, but also unspoken conflict between them. But
Yeah.
even because of that, a lot of emotions were coming up, right? Because you're releasing these old emotions and quote unquote trauma inside yourself. And yeah, everything was coming out. My business was not working. And those moments felt bad. And on top of that, I mean, dating life in Bali sucks, right?
Mm.
So I couldn't get a girlfriend. And you know me, that from the moment we met, we had deep talks. And I always told you, I want to have a family. I want to have a kid at some point.
Right.
So now, obviously, I'm in good shape, but I just push my body hard. So it's kind of failing me again. Although now it's failing me, I look better on the outside, but it's a little bit failing me on the inside. The business is not working, and on top of that, I also can't get a partner that I would like. Of course, I've been on a bunch of dates, but none of them were really like deep. And I think it was hard period, but I also think that life always gives you what you need. And I think in many aspects, currently I'm doing a lot of, let's say, money meditations. I started 1 2 weeks ago, and I'm doing it like every day to release it, because I figured that I have a little bit of still limit. I dealt with a lot of limiting beliefs in personal life, but I feel like I have a lot of limiting beliefs in terms of money. And what I mean by that is I feel that I didn't like how I earned BCG money. I kind of felt a little bit angry at the company for pushing me so hard.
Yeah.
So that money was kind of like dirty money. So I
Mm-hmm.
needed to spend all, and I came almost to zero. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to talk from what I started before I came to
Right.
Asia, because people will ask me for my health and how much could I spend so much money in
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt that I need to give that money away before I can allow money that is really in line with my purpose in. And
Right.
funny enough, I was not reflecting before on this, but I reflected on this week. And after that, again, we can talk a little bit about it later, because I think it's another period of my life. But after I went back to Europe, actually, things started to improve. But yeah, I mean, it was it was so strange that I was living in this paradise of Ireland,
Mm.
where I met you and as my brother, and a couple of other people that I really cherish in my life, and which actually the first time I was here, the only time it really felt like home.
Yeah.
But then when I went to Thailand and I came back and I cut my trip short, traveling around just to be here more, at some point it also felt suffocating. It also felt that
I
this
remember.
island is not giving me what I need. And I was a little bit angry at myself, at the island. And although, of course, on Instagram, I was living this great life, stories, Bali, sunsets, coconuts, oh, it's great. Deep down, I was still hurting. I was
Yeah.
still this little boy,
Yeah.
this little boy that I was in BCG, and that's why I pushed myself so hard. This little boy that I was before, that I can track back to the defining moments that we were talking about before, and,
Yeah.
and even other stuff that were happening in my
Yeah.
childhood.
I very much remember that moment actually. It was about pretty much exactly a year ago where it was the time when you said, look, um, you even told me, brother, like, Jan, I'm gonna leave Bali, and you know what? I'm gonna go back home. I'm gonna go back to Slovenia. I need to get away from here for now. But you walked away with I would say a very deep inner mission, and at that time already you kind of knew what you were gonna do, which is I would say now the next topic I would love to talk to you about, which is actually your company today. And you're already wearing the T-shirt, Rebelpreneur. It's
Rebelpreneur.
one of the one of the topics that you're also currently being that you're advocating and that you're advertising one of your products. So yeah, I would love to know. So now you talked about Bali, your vulnerabilities, how that actually helped you understand where you're going next. You decided to go back home, and it was not an easy move, I remember. And
Was not an easy move.
happy to hear again also about that kind of struggle that you were going through there. But you then created your own company, which is what you're doing today, and which is actually your main breadwinner. And actually, I'm very proud of you, to be honest, because I
Thank you very much.
myself, I remember we both tried our own small side gigs with Instagram, etc. But now you've been really, going on your own feet, and actually you're generating, enough for now that you're self-sustainable, and obviously from there it will hopefully, only go up. But you kind of cracked the code. So walk us through this. So how now you went from corporate, you came to Bali, you knew that you realized this was not the right place, you enjoyed it, but then you decided to go back home, and now you create your own company. Walk us through this.
I think let's first start with the moment that the decision was made,
Yeah.
because I think that was one of the moments that I was the most proud of myself,
Yeah.
because I think I really listened to myself and I was true to myself, because I really wanted to make Bali work. Because again, society, right? Oh, you're living in paradise, your life is so good. I got a little bit, let's say, drunk on that. And when I really sat down with myself and asked myself, what do you need? And you need to go home, you need to sit down, and you need to make this business work. And although it would be in some way an easier way to stay in Bali, maybe not financially because I was burning through cash very fast, but I could figure that out at the end of the day. But I think this was the right move, although it was not the most sexy one, if you
Mm.
want, right?
Yeah.
So I really made that decision, went back home in August last year. And there was another decision that came to it. Because I was burning through money so fast, I was not left with a lot of money. So I decided that everything I have, I'm going to put into company. So I called my parents and I told them, I'm coming home. I would like to move in with you. I would like to move in with you because I want to intentionally put my costs down. So I pour all my money, focus, energy in the business. And we made an agreement with my parents. Okay, you have 1 year, which is coming up right now, right? You have 1 year to make it work. You don't need to pay, because before, when I stayed at home, I was mainly in the hotels, but from time to time when I came home and I was living with my parents, I obviously was giving them some money. I was buying some stuff, but now I was very intentional. I told them I need to put everything there is to business, and they really gave me this support, even though they didn't understand what I want to do. I think for them it worked really well that I said 1 year, because
Right.
then they were like, okay, cool, 1 year, do whatever you want. We don't understand it, but then if not, you take a job and do that, right?
Yeah.
But and I'm mentioning this because many people said it to me in the last year. Oh, it's so great to live with parents. No, it's horrible. It's horrible at 33. It's horrible. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, they will always treat you like you are 14 years old.
Mm.
And no matter what you do, no matter how adult you are, right? They will try to not control you, but they will try to a little bit like give you their advices, which are coming from loving plates. But a lot of time, like, nobody can trigger me as much than my mother with a breathing sound she make. Now I'm a little bit exaggerating, but I think a lot of listeners to this podcast will actually resonate with
I
this,
just
right?
want to say, like this is, I think many of you will exactly understand how this feels like, right? I myself personally have a rule, which is actually, I don't try to stay longer for 3 days with my parents just because it's so hard.
Yeah.
And I love them, we all love our parents, but it's just, I understand the how much it can push you to the edge. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
100%,
but that's okay. So
100%.
you decided that, but you moved in.
Yeah, I moved in with them. I really focus heavily on the business,
Yeah,
right? At the beginning, I did a little bit of Notion, but that quickly was not. I didn't feel this is the thing, and then I stumbled upon AI, and I started basically building like little AI solutions for myself to actually solve my own problems. And then when I knew that they're solving my own problem, so I knew they're solving a painful problem, I packaged the best one and offered them for others to others. So I was getting a little bit of sales there, and
what's
then
your company called?
my company is called Algarda, but
Algarda.
the brands that I am, let's say, that I have inside is 30-day ChatGPT mastery course. This
Right,
is my big one, and then this Rebelpreneurs.
right.
Again, going back to freedom. This
Yeah,
is who I am. I kind of like the name, so I took it as mine, and obviously I created these T-shirts, and now
yeah.
I'm also promoting it everywhere.
And you can find your products. Is that on, if I remember, X? Is that correct, or
Yeah.
or where are you currently present?
So if you are down, I can share a link to how people can find me on my email list
Happy to.
below this. But I'm doing two things at the moment. I am posting on X as a top of the funnel content
Right.
to drive traffic. And then I am driving them to my email list through certain products, lead magnets, or whatever you want to call them. And then in that email list, I sell, let's say 85% of all the sales come from the email, because it's very hard to build a relationship on X. Imagine how many times people will see a tweet like this, whereas if they consistently read your 5-6 minute email. So it's just building more connection, trust, and authority. So that's my main thing. I'm also working with a couple of other people in terms of affiliate partnerships. So I'm getting some traffic there as well. And I'm moving to France at the end of the year with my pregnant girlfriend. And what I want to do is basically restart YouTube,
Yeah.
because I see a huge potential in YouTube. Now what I want to do is, um, I'm not 100% decided, but I think it's going to be ultra raw,
Yeah.
just me pulling a camera, talking to the camera a little bit behind the scenes. And then if some videos go, people start commenting, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? If a lot of people comment, then I might just pull my computer and show people how to do it.
Yeah.
More real, because
Yeah.
I'm a little bit sick and tired of this super polished jump cuts, real, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pissing me off. It takes me so much mental energy, and I want to be real.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things as a rebelpreneur. I want to be raw. I want to say things how they are. And yeah, like, we are just building freedom. We are all figuring stuff out. I'm not a guru. I'm still figuring stuff out. Even when I get to my next goals, let's say in business, or goals that 5 years ago would seem unattainable, I would still be a beginner, because I like this beginner mindset, because it
Right.
allows me to play.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm starting to tell to people, oh, I'm an expert, and of course people see me as an expert in certain AI areas, of course, and I am an rationally, let's say, uh, expert on ChatGPT for entrepreneurs, but simply because I spent thousands and thousands of hours in the last couple of years just playing around with it,
Yeah.
like using it, playing around, testing some stuff. So I really like this kind of more experimental approach rather than me some guru telling you how you should live your life from a golden palace, right? I'm very honest with people. I
Yeah.
tell them I'm 1-2 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
I'm figuring shit out. Now, if you want to learn from me, learn. If you don't want, that's also okay.
Yeah.
Many other people, right?
It's very humble that you say that you're not an AI expert, but just like you mentioned, I mean, I think you are one of the guys and who I know is most ambitious and always once you decide for one thing, you are 100% giving you absolute everything. And so I just know that you actually know quite a lot, but your humbleness is something also which I find um, so connecting and where I feel like that's why I really like you, and I love you as a brother in a sense because you're always staying humble. But actually, you can be proud of what you've built now within a year. Um, I was mentioning earlier like 6,000 active subscribers or something, but help me again. Like, so what are the exact numbers right now that you have on your newsletter? You say you're mainly selling on the newsletter, and the main solutions right now that you are selling to them is what?
So on newsletter, I have 5,300 subscribers,
Right.
a bit more right now. It always goes up and down because every email you send, every day I get new subscribers. Every email I send, I get unsubscribers. I think the numbers I'm really the most proud of is my flagship course, which I launched twice because I launched it as cohort, ChatGPT Mastery, 30 days email delivered course for solopreneurs. I think the numbers I'm super proud of is 151 students.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, completion rates 80%. Normal course would have, I think, average. I was checking it yesterday. Average of online courses is 5 to 15%. Good
Wow.
courses is 25, 30%, which means that I am basically over, how do you say this? Overkilling the average by a big margin, almost the 3 times, right?
Yes.
And this is not just me. Obviously, it's my expertise. I also took a framework that I learned from this guy called Derek Johansson, who is a great email marketer. But it's also the other thing is that I really believe in product excellence, and I think in the online game, especially with digital courses, a big problem at the moment is that people put, especially the AI, people put out the course and then they spend a lot of time filming it and they spend a lot of time producing it, and then obviously that course is very good for 2 weeks, but then of course in 2-3 months ChatGPT changes, ChatGPT improves new feature, so these people usually don't go back and redo the course, they move to the next project and basically slap a discount, right? So
Yeah.
basically you are getting knowledge. I'm not saying I bought most of their courses, right? I did a lot of free stuff, but I bought most of the ChatGPT courses because I want to know what competitors are doing and I want to also integrate the best things into my course. But there is also this thing that they are mostly outdated because of it, right?
Right.
Unless you buy them once they come out. Now, I am delivering it through email, so it's one email per day. So first of all, it's not overwhelming. That's why
Right.
also why people are completing it, right? And it's
Yeah.
like 10, 15 minute email. You always have an action that you implement immediately and you play around and you try different stuff. And I also always, I don't have it open all the time. I am now thinking about, so I opened it in January, I opened it in April. I think I'm going to open it in September. And then I'm building now a second course, but I think I'm going to open this one twice per year. And the
Right.
reason being is because every time I update everything which is outdated.
Yes.
So it takes me, of course, every time it takes me a little bit less because prompt engineering and stuff don't need to be that much updated. I just add new things that I learned. But like, I think that the third thing, no, sorry, let me finish this thought. So I am basically updating it all the
All
time.
the
I'm kind
time.
of running this cohort. I'm also
Yeah.
allowing people to ask me all the questions.
Yeah.
Last time, I think I got more than 1,000 emails from people,
Insane.
100 people, because people were just asking me.
Yeah.
I'm also counting the sub emails,
Yeah.
but like people were just asking me. And that's great because I also get a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, the third thing why I'm really proud of this particular course is because a lot of people in the AI space tell you, oh, ChatGPT is powerful, right? Okay, but what can it do? Everything. Okay, but what is everything? Everything, right? And you don't know what you don't know in life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm really like, part of my course is prompt engineering, but a big part, actually a larger chunk, is just me showing them, okay, this is how I use ChatGPT tweets. This is how I use ChatGPT to extract knowledge from a transcript or from a podcast like this. I will take this podcast, I'll put it in ChatGPT, and I'll tell him to write me tweets, right,
Right.
in my own words,
Yeah.
because he will know.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. I really show people how I am using it, not
Yeah.
how should be used or
So
how,
it's
but
hands-on.
hands-on,
It's
right?
hands-on how you do it. Yeah, very impressive. So just quick summary. Next product coming out, you said in September, updated, the newest version of ChatGPT Advisory, ChatGPT Mastery.
That's yeah. And the new product, I think, in 2 weeks is going to
New
be out
product in 2
if I push
weeks.
myself hard.
Yes. So and that's gonna be available through how can the listeners here now reach it? It would be then through signing up to your email
Signing up to
campaign.
my email list,
Okay.
and then
Will be
basically when I'm promoting it, they can jump
yeah.
in. Again, it's just going to be open. It's just going to be open for a week, and
Okay.
will be able to buy it.
Just looking at time because we're running out. One last topic before we end this, and that's going to be let's go a bit into private life. And like I mentioned at the very intro, you have a beautiful girlfriend that's currently pregnant. And how has this now how this affected your private life, and how are you basically preparing for it? You're an entrepreneur. You call yourself Rebelpreneur, but you soon will have to take care not just of your girlfriend but also your baby. Is that additional motivation? Has this kind of superpowered you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's funny because she told me, actually, when she told me she was in Paris and I was in Slovenia, because my girlfriend is French and I'm
Mm,
Slovenian, and she was like, "Okay, we're going to have a baby," and I just felt this. Of course, there's a little bit of fear. I'm not going to lie,
yeah,
but then I felt this immense energy, and I'm still feeling it. It's like I wake up in the morning, even if I feel a little bit bad or tired, I'm just like, "Wow, I'm going to be a dad. Let's go, let's rock." And I
nice.
spoke with a couple of other dads, and they told me they also felt this energy. So that's number one. I think second one is in entrepreneurship, the thing that is missing, and why a lot of entrepreneurs fail, is the deadlines, because you come from a place where other people are setting the deadlines, and sometimes it's the clients, right? But then you go and you need to set your own deadline. So that's why procrastination is big in entrepreneurship. And you, one thing that I do is I always announce things to my list, so then I have like a soft deadline. But having a kid is like a great deadline. It's like
It's a
9 months,
hard
very
deadline.
hard. In 9 months, you need to figure your shit out.
Yeah.
You need to. So now I'm obviously I took a lot of time in Bali to reflect. I'm going back to Slovenia on Sunday. I'll stay in Slovenia for a month. Then I'm moving to to Mimizan in France,
Yes.
because it's easier for my girlfriend. And then I have a couple of more months until I think the date is last week of November before I figure shit out. So I want to launch these new products, but then I'm also working very heavily on simplifying my business,
Right.
like to really find those high leverage tasks that are like 80-20, right? I need to find those 20% of high leverage tasks that really drive everything. And obviously, I need to lean back on my automation systems when on the days that I can't maybe even complete those, can my automations and my AI hold the post that specific day. So that's how I'm preparing. Obviously, now I'm trying to get better in shape. Yesterday, I did a 3-second unassisted handstand with my
Nice.
100 kilograms, which is insane.
Nice.
But I went back into practice, and I really want to continue this when I go home, because I also want to be healthy, and I want my kid to have a role model. I
Yes.
want him, it's a boy, to look at me, not just me talking, oh, sport is good for you, don't smoke, don't do this. I just don't. I just need to show him, like,
Yes.
I obviously I'm not smoking for many years now, but I need to show him that I go up, I show up, I go to the gym, I go to work, even in the days that are tough. Maybe there was somebody over, we drank some wine, I still woke up, I still did my task. I really now I'm thinking more, and this is the big shift. I'm thinking more, what kind of values, behaviors I want to translate to my son without speaking.
Yeah.
So him looking at his dad and modeling me,
Yeah.
kind of, right? And also thinking a lot about and talking with Marie, my girlfriend, how are we going to be great parents, and how we are going to break this generational trauma, right? How
Yeah.
we are not going to push kids, how we are going to talk, but still when to give them the iPads and stuff, like really to like make good human beings that are improving the world, right?
Yeah.
By living in them, and not just taking and not giving. And I feel like just having this discussion, I feel like it's going to be a very hard job,
Yeah.
a very hard job.
Yeah.
But I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Man, this is so excited to hear. I'm super excited to witness your journey, and as I've been honored to do already so in the last 2 years. But yeah, we're coming to an end. Time is pretty much about up. But I really, really thank you for being my first guest. I thank you also, and this is a vulnerable moment in my side, that you pushed me. Okay, and this is something where I feel like what close friends really are there for each other. We help support each other, we push each other, and you push me also to bring my vision to life, which is the Black Sheep Society. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for your journey. If I may do a last little takeaway just for the community of where you've come. So you've been in Rebel all life long. You've been seeking freedom. So freedom was maybe your North Star always. This made you realize that you were, in a sense, a black sheep because you always wanting to go out, venture out. But this made you who you are today, helped you in the end make it all the way to BCG, go to a top company, but then now actually start your own business, find a beautiful girlfriend with now a baby on the way. So I'm so excited to keep on witnessing your journey, and let's see for the next podcast that we will have together where you're going to be. Let's keep this updating, and yeah, thank you so much to you all listening out there. Really appreciate you being here and listening to us. And like I mentioned, this is the Black Sheep Society. And if life is not fitting to us, then we create a world that we fit in. So thank you all. See you next time.
Aho.
I hope.